Welcome to everybody of the listeners. The first chapter I would like to introduce to you is a little bit about integration and global need for long-term, and I call it E3 safer F3, that means ecology, economy and energy integrated for a sustainable agriculture, forestry, environment and risk. And F3 means for food, for farm and also for humans fun. Nature and humans must globally integrate this safer model, and global and local we didn't evaluate the causes and the effects. We just had single elements that we wanted to evaluate, and joy or damages, nature and humans, we didn't calculate. It was maybe a higher value because the hospital had more to do or we sold more food. We did not integrate the whole model. When we go to the next picture, it shows a little bit about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, so-called SDGs. And it is more or less a sustainable management of the nature, supported by time-related, by satellite images. We have a technology since many years called WinGIS, and IDIMA is new, identification of images. And we need local know-how partners and global strong cooperation and integrating the energy. Before we switch to the next picture, I just go back 25 years ago. We started with GIS development. We have our own system. We were the first system that had images as a part of it. It was a hybrid system called, and it has three main elements: where, when, and what. Geography, time management, and database. This you need for planning. This you need for verification what has done or what should be done, and verification also of bad things or not done things, etc. And now let's go to a first picture to evaluate a little bit how to solve these global problems of nature and humans tomorrow. How can we solve them? And this is a question of sustainability. And when you look at these four pictures at the bottom of this picture, you see on the left side a little bit of a forest. The next one from the left is an agriculture picture. Fine. What do you see on the forest? When you are local expert, you see there's a brown tree. That is not a healthy tree. And when you know the type of forest and the type of trees, then you know what happens with this tree. You can automatically evaluate them. You see one. But the system can evaluate everything on a complete map in a country, in a region. The second picture shows a little bit from agriculture. Agriculture is very strong linked to many elements, but one main element is water. Too less water, no agriculture. Too much water, swimming, also no agriculture, maybe a lake. So you see also the image shows you, the first image, the structure of an element, and the second image, the color of an element. That means light brown is a little bit more dry and dark brown is a little bit more wet. And when we switch to the third picture from the left, you see this is a new satellite image with high resolution, 0.5 meter resolution. And I found out what I know, and I did since 25 years work with pictures. That means I find a highway, I find a road, I find a young forest, an old forest, I find naturally also a field or a meadow or whatever, a house, etc. So this I structure on the fourth build, I structure it and give the single elements that I found the color. And then I ask the system, please digitize. The fourth picture was digitized in a few seconds. And when I can link an ownership map, a cadastre map, or a soil map, or whatever map, then I have again an integrative task of the whole region, of a whole country. Very quick done. How does this go in detail? I'll show you the next picture. The next picture is close from me here, is a satellite image with a 0.5 meter resolution. And it shows on the top left, you see a top of a mountain, 2,000 meters. That means we have alpine meadow on tops, some houses, you see a little bit slopes, you see the small slopes down for the country skiing, and you see the bigger slopes down. You see also there are a lot of elevators and there are a lot of trees also, and different sorts of trees. So when I evaluate once, when you know the region, that means again we need local expert, when I digitize some samples and say on the right side top, please make a map. Then you have the map ready in a few seconds. I know something that a local expert has to go for a fortnight over this mountain, and he knows maybe something. If he did not work correct, he makes failures. And then on the top right picture, you see some orange elements. There is something. What is it? There's something happened there. When you know the region, then you know. In the principle, the humus is under a problem. So the whole soil has a problem there. Why? You know it. You can evaluate if you don't know it. Fine. But the map finds it automatically. It's the structure of the images. Then you see on the bottom left, you see this is the end of our city, named Villach here, and there's sea in the south, there's more forest, in the north there's the city, and then see a river and the highway and the small elements and houses, gardens, etc. The green picture on the right side of it, automatically digitized. I know more than every expert from the local region knows. If he is working 6 weeks, he doesn't know. And when I have a higher resolution, go a little bit to the right, you see on top the automatically digitized system, and you see on the bottom also, you see there's a cadastre on top, you know who is the owner of the field, how many hectares the field, and then on the bottom right, you see the colors. The colors tell me in detail how many tons per hectare are growing, what the quality of the soil. And when I have 2 or 3 images during a growth period, I know much, much more. I know how much is growing. If there is a problem, I see the growing of a problem. That means over time you can link this. And this is a fantastic new possibility that you suddenly can do that never was able the humans to do. And a single human cannot do it. But the technology and a lot of integrative local know-how and global know-how can exactly evaluate, digitize, and evaluate what's ongoing there. When we see the next picture, this shows a little bit what we did in the last 25 years. It's also, we started very early with an integrative approach. On top you see an image. This was for 25 years, it was 10,000 square kilometers, so 1 million hectare. And when we zoomed in, you see blue elements. Okay, this is a job for a farmer or for a driver where he should go. And the driver had a mobile equipment. He got the same on a mobile equipment from the central equipment. From the central equipment, and then you see the field, and then you also can calculate automatically where the driver has to drive, how many kilometers he has to drive, or he drove later, how many hectares he has done, etc. And on the top right, you see that you can link different elements of the maps. More or less the satellite image, a cadastre map, maybe a soil map, a precision farming map, this 25-year-old precision farming map. Or you link your mobile equipment. When we started, it was a heavy PC. Now it's a mobile device from a phone or an iPhone or any else. And you can evaluate the exactly map where is growing what, how much, and you can calculate it. And on the bottom right, you see the whole possibility, how you can link mobile equipment on a machine, how you can link weather stations, and then you can integrate also the weather data to your information. So the key question was always to integrate several data and to make out of data, because the data doesn't help you. You need out of data to make an information. And when you have the information in the right time, then you can make a precise decision. So always the target was always integrate many suppliers, because the minister needs a little bit other information than the farmer, and the driver of a tractor needs again a little bit other information than someone who wants to make a service or wants to service the farmers or the minister or the salesperson of the tractors or whatever. There are different sorts of information. But sorry, our nature is an integral model. And we need an integral approach, because if we drive too much, the soil will be concrete, more or less, after 20 years. If we put fertilizer, pesticide, whatever, too much, it is also not good. So that means at the end we need something, I call it global balancing model, and the technology is ready, the know-how is ready, and we can do it with a lot of global partners on a global scale. That's the only way how we can solve the nature, solve the human, because a good food only comes from a good nature. And only good food from a good nature will have at the end happy and creative. And I'm sure, I'm not a doctor, but if you have good food with highest quality, not only the body but also the brain will be a little bit better. This for the beginning, how integrative approach can be done and can support us, but it needs a global target, it needs cooperative target on a global scale for many people together, because it's one globe that we have. A lot of countries, a lot of different sorts of nature, they all are a little bit different, but at the end they are integrated with wind and water that links us. This is a question of physics, of mathematics, of biology, of chemistry, etc. And if we humans don't integrate them, the nature has their own rules. They will run the rules. Thank you for the first topic. So now to the next session. It's called more or less existing technologies and cooperation support the customer needs, or let's say sustainable food, water, air and energy is a must to be integrated. Some general words, that means all activities of humans due to business focused on energy use or other chemicals don't integrate effects on nature and humans. We humans try to solve problems, manage effects, but don't understand the causes of the effects. Many are cross borders, many are time-related effects. We don't see or recognize them immediately, we understand it too less. That globalization and not understanding the integrated causing also means we did not understand the effects. Some possibilities for a solution. Let's say the key question is, when you look at this page number 6, in the future we have to integrate tasks. We have to understand how the single tasks are linked together. We have to think better on public-private models, because the government is responsible, the industry is responsible, the single user is responsible. Everybody is linked in what we need on food, on air, on water, etc. And one of the key messages is time is a relation that is with some maybe causes or effects related. Somewhere else with wind and water distributed, it comes later on. It comes maybe days later on, or it comes weeks, months or years later on. That means we have a global link if the national people like it or not. Water is a global focus. Wind is a global focus. Water is a physics question, it's running down, and wind is blowing where the wind is blowing. So that means what starts on one side can end on the other side, on the whole globe. Globe is one integrative, more or less, model. And to solve the problems, we need cooperations. And cooperative tasks always have been coming up when the time has been tricky. When the nature showed that the nature can be rough, the nature has shown it and the people reacted. They cooperated. When the first cooperative started in mountainous regions where it is dangerous, in cold regions where it is dangerous, where the nature is tricky, the people are ready to cooperate. And climate change is exactly this. And again, I come with E3. It means ecology, economy, and energy. We need all of them. We will not be able to survive our future without one of them. And this is the means that we have to integrate the understanding how they are integrated. And we have a fantastic possibility that the communication gives us a possibility to today have a global communication. But we should not believe that there is a global solution. No. The nature has local needs. Because a simple example from someone who studied forestry but did a lot of other things is, sorry, we have a few million of sorts of trees. Please tell me one professor who understands them all. They are not here. So it means we need the ministry, the advisory services, public and private, the buyers, the sellers, the cooperatives, the advisors. Cooperative means you, the strength of common farmer cooperatives for common targets. And we had such common targets, or we have them. Clear, and when we look in the mountains, we have them, and we started many decades ago that one farmer can use a machine, but he can support many others. It was a cooperative for machines. One has an ecological problem or an economical problem or a social problem. We could organize something that the other one are helped. A lot of cooperative possibilities. We can also cooperate in working, in buying, in selling products, advisory service, support, help, etc. And one thing is clear, technology is supporting this. If you use the technology integrated. If you don't integrate it, you buy the technology up for 5 or 10 different targets, and you have not an integrative target. But the one wants to sell more food, the one wants to sell more support for people they are too big or too fat. The other one wants to sell more machines, but it's always the same piece of nature. The whole thing is integrated, so we have to use it. And we have now with satellite image, with drone image, or on the human side with computer tomography, we find fantastic possibilities to integrate them. And we have to define sustainable targets for all public and to private user groups. And we, again, what I mentioned at the beginning already, we need data to transfer to information to precise decisions. Again, what we did since decades, when, what and where has to be done, and integrate economical target, ecological target, and energy target, to have all of them as one integrative target for the whole globe, because wind and water links us in any case, also cross borders. And then we have to control also, because not everybody is happy alone, and he has to cooperate. We need to control economy, ecology, energy, and also the energy targets to link to it, because we know that we need energy, but we have a lot of energy, please, and this energy, I just show you one element. The next picture shows a little bit about of energy. And we did in the mountains, sorry, only 2-3 samples. The old people in Iran, 2000 before Christ, had vertical wind generators. Now we started to detect them again. We had in the mountains many water machines to create water energy, 200, 300, 400 years ago. But in that moment when a centralistic idea came up, they were not distributed and not used, or maybe forbidden or legally a problem. And I was working in the mountains with local energies, and we had them. And I had a small hut in the mountains. I had 30 years ago, solar, 2 square meter, a battery that buffered me during the night, and I brought the water 250 meter in distance, 25 meter haze distance, and I had for 6 rooms all the energy I needed. And why I did have it? Very simple. Nobody controlled it. It was middle in the forest, in the light air, and there was enough sun coming in. But we could also, and what you see in this picture, this was done after 12 years bureaucratic burden. The whole thing has been set up, and in the middle you see the generator. The water is coming down, is going out, produces energy, lot of energy. And on top, we are just in the moment to build up vertical wind generators. You see the second picture in the middle, this vertical wind generator, because the wind is coming from all directions, not only from one or the other directions. And when the water is running down, it can create also energy. So it means if I have from minimum 5-6 meter haze, I create energy. And if I have a big house with 10 floors or 20, 30 floors, I can create more energy. So integrative approach of sun, wind plus water, and I can measure it today for every square meter. How much input, and I can calculate and evaluate how much output. And if I big or small integrate again, I can have big user groups, small user groups, cooperative, and link them all together, or can also go to geothermal energy. Please, we flew on the moon. It's very good that we have been on the moon, but every 100 meter, 3 degrees, it becomes warmer. On 1,000 meter, it's 30 degrees. On 2,000, it's 60 degrees. So under our legs, it is very hot. And in the middle of the globe, we must not go so far in. But we have tremendous energy. But we did not use it. But we can start, and when we do it cooperative and global, we have energy without any problem for all small users. The only exception is very big user groups like the industry. We had a little bit to have cooperative, and there's the technology is ready, cooperative big user groups. Possible. Please ask and look at this calculation, this small, tiny calculation. I can a city of 50,000, 100,000 inhabitants with a few hundred hectares of size, only what is water, what is sun, what is wind coming, and it is clear in Sahara I should not search today after water, and on the North Pole I should not build up a system based on sun alone. I have again an integrative approach depending on the region. But to link energy, ecology and economy together is possible. Every roof is an energy producer. Every roof could be used to collect also water. We have in whole Europe 1.5 meter, in Sahara is very less, but in other regions we have maybe 2 meter. 2 cubic meter of water on 1 square meter. It's a high energy use. We can use it, but we did not use it, and we should use it. Very quick to change. Okay, I hope I could give some ideas about sustainable food, water, air, and energy, that they must be integrated, and it's a giant power behind. Thank you. So the next session and the next group will bring a little bit about cause and effects, or public-private partnership with few global rules that can be defined just from a giant organization like United Nations or Food and Agriculture Organization or World Health Organization. And we need also not to believe that we can supply an artificial intelligence, as we need many local targets and a cooperation on a global scale. If we don't work in future cooperative with public-private-public models, we will fail, as we have unique general rules, but the nature is global, strong, different, with many variables that can be managed by artificial intelligence, where we use wrong historical informations for future changing a world by evolution. This is natural rules. I will try to explain this in a few pictures. When we look at this picture, number 8, you see in the middle some wonderful nature, but sorry, it is very tricky. It's totally different. You see a wonderful tree and you see red clouds on top there, and the meadow and some trees in the back, and then the right side you find it when the sunset or sunrise is coming, totally different color. It's great. It can be wonderful. And when you see the children, they are happy and they are funny with a small flower only. And then you see also technology in a fantastic manner. Sorry, this is a group of birds, maybe 300-400 birds. There are a group of birds, thousands of them. And then we have the same on a fish swarm, just the same. But please, they changed the direction in 0.0001 millimeter or degree, and they communicate and have GPS built in. It's a little bit more precise and more quicker than we can do it today. They do it since thousands of years, very precise. So the nature has models that are incredible, that we really should be aware that we understand them. Then when you see the two top pictures, we had nearby Africa, belonging to Spain, we had an island with a volcanic problem. And when the volcano had a problem, what happened? There was a television lady, she started coughing. Oh, why? Sulfur oxide came out, and with water it becomes sulfur acid. And if burning with hot temperature, you create nitric acid. So that means you have, I'll show you later maps, tuberculosis, cancer, dying forests, or corona. These are the causes from a volcano in that case. And then the second question on this picture is the first days the volcano blowing the wind to North Europe and until Germany, across a little bit France, or first Spain, then France, and then it reached Germany. And when you say the next picture, look at the next picture, the wind was blowing to Africa. So result of this volcano came to Africa. So the wind distributed the problems of the volcano emission. Every chimney that is giving out some emission is distributed by wind. And everything we put in the water, it's distributed by the water. Short-term local, mid and long-term regional and local. And after 20, 30 years, we have the results of sulfur or any other nitric acid, or there's more coming, and there are more elements, we find it anywhere distributed. Nothing distributes. So we need in the future to have more or less a balance model. And how to create a balance model, we worked very long on, I think we found out a very interesting thing. The globe has a balance. Our globe does not grow and does not shrink. There's a balance model. What we take out is coming back anywhere, on another location distributed by wind or by water. And there are some mathematic formulas where people, this is coming from Mr. Einstein, from Planck, to name a few, von Riemann, from Bitterlich, from Mandelbrot. When you take all this, plus 5, 6 other mathematical tools, and if you integrate them, then suddenly you can evaluate them. And only something, Mr. Riemann, they couldn't find out the reason why they could not find the truth. We found the truth. You can manage the truth also of this after 163 years, but only if you link them all together, because to evaluate a lying or not lying is much easier than to evaluate the nature, because the amount of variables in nature has to find the truth out is much, much more complex. And then you see some problems of the future. One of the future problems, there are several of them, they are already here, is exponential growth. It's a physics question, If you go on a mountain 8 hours, you fall down, maybe you are in 1 minute down. If you take a lot of other problems, they have exponential growth. So it's slowly to grow them up, but when it runs, then it runs. It's a physics question. Very, very quick. So we have to be carefully, and we have to say we need some global rules, United Nations, FAO, World Health Organizations, or UNIDO for the energy responsible, and we need many local targets, and we have to evaluate the targets, and to solve it must be from the financial side also a value. It's possible, but only if evaluated precise. This we have done since years, and I think this is one possibility. We need a globe that we can do business, we can use energy, but we have also to control what we are doing. That not one or a group is doing something and this destroys or hurts the other groups. This we have to optimize, otherwise a sustainable globe will not be possible. But it's possible, but it needs a cooperative work of many people together. That means it needs very big public-private models that go cross-border, because the wind and the water is a cross-border available on the whole globe. Thank you very much. So the next session, I will speak a little bit about ecology, economy, energy, and evaluate causes for integrated or integrative effects. So food and energy drive the global business, and are the integrative factors as well. We have to manage them with integrative know-how, sustainable, and understand all related causes and effects. It's global. It's many of the causes and many of the effects. But the problem we face today is an integrative problem, and we have to solve it rather quick. So again, I go to some pictures and start. The first is again the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, and maybe on top right you see two small pictures of the nature. The one is a tree. This is a giant tree. The human you don't see aside. And the other one is a micro nano element, also of the nature, but they have some same mathematical rules behind. Many people don't know it, but it is the same. A French mathematical expert found it out, and this formula linked to many others gives a huge possibility to work together, ecology, economy, energy, and evaluate causes and integrative effects. So let's go to the next picture. This shows a little bit food. I will later explain you food. Farm to fork, food from a healthy nature for healthy, also creative humans with sustainable quality, all certified. That's the target. We cannot expect that the humans get healthy and creative without good food, and good food cannot come from nature that is more or less not okay managed. So we need a healthy nature for a healthy food, for healthy and creative humans. We have one of the main problems on the globe is already the intelligence quotient. It's shrinking in the last decades. Experts know it. The same what I found out in my book many years ago about dying forests. So there is a change, but we cannot allow that this change happens forever. So now about this, some information I give you what we evaluated the last decades more or less, and they're roughly 10 pages. I would like to switch a little bit through. I'm by education agriculture forest, but was then very early IT related, was Apple distributor, and later became Acer distributor for Eastern Europe and for Russia, and then I started GIS development. So I have a rather nice, interesting, integrative know-how from the family till to the situation today. And this gave me a possibility. And I had a luck, we had a fantastic mathematical-oriented professor that created the tool. So we have a mathematic where I today, with my sample, with my eyes and with the distance, I can go out in the forest and say there is 264.5 cubic meter. Oi! I don't need a tool. I know it's still from him personally. He created the machine later on. So, and here you see again the small element and the big element. The mathematics between the small element and the big element is the same. In your bloodstream, the mathematics is the same. In your lymph stream inside your body, mathematics is the same. In the alveolus of the lungs, etc. So that means the physics of Mr. Einstein is not working only on the globe. No, it's working also on the Mars or anywhere outside where are many globes, million or billion of years between. So with mathematics we can do very much. Before we go to mathematics, a few information what we did in the past. When I started after IT experience, I started GIS. So we had with Progis fantastic tools. They started from the very beginning with where, when, what. What was the database? It was my database or from colleagues' database. And on the same map you had another database for village management and the third one for pipeline management, but it was the same map. And then you had the public cadastre and you had the satellite image. I started early with satellite images, and suddenly we could manage agriculture, geography data, plant all input, plant all output and sales, subsidy management is all the same. It's the same map, the same field. We do it today different. We should integrate it. Forest is the same. Forest management, forest inventory. We had the luck in Austria that we started very first with forest inventory 300 years ago, because we made failures. And when you make failures in the forest, the result you have down, either in snow or in mud flow. So you should not make failures. And then we started 250 years ago, because we started more or less with iron industry. We had problems, and we started inventory. And today we have not all countries have forest inventory, not all countries, or very few countries, have agriculture inventory. But sorry, what is the nature producing? The biggest element is water in, is carbon in, is oxygen out. So, but sorry, this we need. No carbon in is no plants growing. Carbon out is too much problems. No oxygen, we have a problem. No water, we all have a problem. There's three main elements. There are many others as well. But the three elements, and the water and the wind linked to it, is the distributor of the whole thing. So that means we have to evaluate these things much better as we did in the past. Sure, Adam and Eva had no problem. World divided by 2. But today, world divided by 9 billions. It's not easy. It stays only a few hectares per head. It's not very much. So let us plan it more carefully. Not only the industry, also the nature, safer agroforest environment, and linked risk management and finance management. This shows what we had done since 25 years. I've shown the similar map, and I presented this OpenGIS Consortium, United Nations, International Telecom Union, MIGAI, Chinese Advisory Service, and in Hyderabad, the universities. But it's always the same. How can we manage our globe better with the tools that are existing and with the upgrade from different sorts of images and with lots of statistics and mathematics? People forget this, and I had the luck that we had excellent professors in statistics and mathematics with forest inventory, and I would recommend to do the same in agriculture. We don't have it yet, but we should do it. What I mentioned already earlier, we started very early to integrate different tools to different organizations, because a cooperative needs the information for 1,000 farmers. The 1,000 farmers needs a little bit different information for maybe their 5,000 fields, and the tractor driver needs another information, and the subsidy manager in the ministry needs again another information. But sorry, it's the same field. And when you have a weather station, you need the weather information, you don't need a station. But this can be built up cooperative, together, and then everybody has it. And when I have on the bottom, on the right side, you see a colorful green and red, so this is a precision farming map. The map shows me exactly what is needed to be done. What did I do in the past, what should I do? And the field before I showed already with the water. Different humidity shows different colors. So if I have different structures or different colors, I can evaluate things. Very precise. But I have to have a lot of local understanding. If I don't have local understanding, sorry. If you send Mohammed Dana with a camel to Yakutsk with a reindeer, they will both cannot survive. Because the nature is too different in the different regions of the globe. And we have to have the local information. That means we need a cooperation, and a deep cooperation with local experts of soil, of plants, of pesticides, of fertilizer, of ministries, of public and private cooperative managers, etc. So this is how do we structure the information totally different. And the next step is what we did also 25 years ago. You see this map, a cadastre map, the when, where, what, and the black-white cadastre map, the integrative tool, precision farming, and we had 25 years ago mobile equipment, heavy equipment. It was not a phone. No, it was a heavy equipment on a big machine. Fine. Sugar beet harvester. So we did it for sugar beet harvesters. Wonderful, and it worked wonderful, but they all had different informations. There was a cooperation needed. The next picture I have shown you already at the session before, and again, this is a satellite image, high resolution, and we identified problems. The experts can go over there, make a look. If they are good experts, they know what the color means. If they're not or don't know, something new is coming up, in the structures are different, in the colors are different, they evaluate it. They go out with this map and say what's ongoing here. And then they come back and say this is the problem. So to identify, and when you can identify there's a problem, then you can also evaluate the problem. And then you can also do how to repair the problem. Very simple. That's it. But you need a local experience because, sorry, I don't know a tree anywhere in Ghana or in Africa. No, nobody knows it. You need local experts, but you need some global technology, global know-how, and local expert. And also this picture I showed at the beginning, now it's a little bit bigger. transfer data to information to get precise integral decisions. This is possible, but not only for the forest or for the agriculture, no, also for the village. I know precise how many in the village are gardens. What can you do on the gardens? And the next picture shows me in detail. One field is 3.9 hectare, the one is 1.52. I just copied the cataster, or I have parallel access to the cataster, and then I know how much is growing. So I have a growth identifier automatically built in for every element of the nature. But I need local expert, because I have no understanding what this blue means in region ABC on the globe. But when the local expert identifies one, he will know it precise. Again, in the next picture, I show the same on the forest. So you identify a problem. On the big picture not, but when you zoom in, you see suddenly more. If you don't know what you see, please go out. And then you know what's ongoing there. And then describe this, and I know this is Ips typographus, the small bark beetle. Fine. To the bark beetle, an interesting thing. The bark beetle lays 500 eggs. And out of 500 eggs, in a few weeks, 6 weeks, again bark beetles are here. In 6 weeks later, they again do the same. So in 6 weeks, 500 multiple 500. More 6 weeks is 500 multiple 500 multiple 500. So it goes into millions. And if you have again half a degree more temperature, it's multiple 4 or exponential 4, 500. You have billions. This is the exponential growth. And you have only 4 to 5 weeks time to inform someone to do it against this animal, because they explode. And this is a giant growth that we have, and we have to be careful. And please don't ask me why we have corona. Absolutely clear. They explode in growth, and that's the key problem. And we had it in Middle Age, it was pests, so fine, but now we have corona. It's nothing new. The nature can come, and the nature can also be more tricky. Also, it can be very beautiful, but it can be tricky too. The next picture again shows what I've shown at the beginning and some mathematical ideas behind. They are in reality, they are much more. Here you see just the color element, but beside the color you have a structure. So I evaluated on a high resolution satellite images, different number, and what I've seen. When you know the region. When you don't know, you cannot do it. But when you know, you can do it. If not, if you don't know, you have to go out. Then define the color structure, boom, map is done. Automatically. Then zoom in, you have it very precise. And it's just done by the color. Color is rather easy tool, but the really interesting is the mathematical structuring of the elements. Then you get much more know-how. Much more. This deep mathematics, a lot of formulas integrated, but it's ready. That means we can evaluate the problems also. We can evaluate what should be done, what could be done, what will have which effect also, because we have also the neighboring data, and this is always important. So that means now is some economy, ecology, energy, and evaluate all these causes for integrated effects is possible to be done. The technology is here. The technology needs, as I've mentioned already, public-private modeling. It needs a lot of local experts, and it needs on one side the global key targets on the agriculture, on the forestry, as well as on the environment in general, because and now comes the valuation of the nature. I started years ago, 30 years ago, to make a valuation model in Austria already, and it was part, or it is up till today, part of the legislation. And I think we need this model. We need it on a global scale, but it needs to have local structures. And when we have this model ready, then we can evaluate. We can evaluate what are the causes, what are the effects, and what are the problems. And then we can manage the problems. We can manage and evaluate them. And this is the interesting for the future. And to evaluate, and this is the first step to be done, to detect the problems, to evaluate the problems, and to manage the problems. And when we have to solve it, we have to start with the biggest problems and not with the tiny ones. We have the biggest problems evaluated already. This is, for me, this is the water, this is sulfur, this is nitric acid, nitric acid, and it is also fluor components. So the main thing is the energy production is the responsibility, and the electronic production. And I like electronic, I like also energy, but we have to know what we are doing. If we don't know what we are doing, we will fail. And this we have to evaluate, and this we have to understand. And it's a big, big cooperative task. And how to manage this cooperative task and how to transfer data to information will be the next step of presentation. Thank you. So the next session we have is a group of pictures where we say transfer data to information to precise integral decisions, focus many effects and causes for defined targets. Only understand the integrated causes and the following effects of all integrated elements, we will do better decisions. Otherwise we do it wrong. To integrate them to get correct information. Otherwise samples are all wrong. I sell more as a sample with marketing, make people dependent. They will buy more, but doctors have also business, as they are drunken or have too much weight. Where's the optimized valuation? They should have more joy, but only to use marketing for getting joy is maybe only drinking to get joy is a short-term effect. Maybe next day you have a bad headache. It's not so good. So we have to manage integrated. And integrated managing is, beside technology, a lot of other effects needed that we have to work out in the last decades also with a lot of cooperation model. But one of the key questions is, and there we set up 3 clubs, we need to educate because we need to transfer a lot of know-how today. We need to understand the technology and the integrative technology, how they can cooperate as technologies. Because again, my sample from before, I don't need a weather station, I need the information of the weather. Who is doing it? How can we manage it? And we need, for the clubs, the third one is international exports to integrate and to cooperate. All of these clubs. Because only if I have integrative tasks, I have a good result. We have in the moment 3 clubs in Austria. They are set up all for a global manner, for a global target. And it is the education, the Club of Osijek, he is doing education. He has already 150 members of 40 countries. And we will grow very quick now. Because this is education question we have set up with an Indian colleague. We have set up an education model global. We need the good experts from all universities. They are focused, agroforest, environment, but also health, etc. So the second one is integrated technologies. We have set up a club, SDCC, so Sustainable Digital Country Consortium. There's a lot of machinery. They also could be used. As I mentioned, the weather stations, or the tractor, or special tractors, or cooperative tasks. There's a lot of things. How can we integrate technologies? But do we need to use it separate or can we use it integrated? Again, a tractor can manage 500 hectares. The average farmers have maybe in Africa 1 hectare, maybe otherwise bigger hectares. But a farmer needs to support not only the economy, he has also to support the ecology. And there's a lot of ecology valuation models. And we have laws like we have in Austrian law, but not all liked it when it was set up. 1975, there was a new forest law coming up, and it said every piece of forest has an ecological and an economical value. But we have to support all of them, because if you go out in the forest, and the good forest is a risk management tool for many risks. A good forest is also a tool for healthy and happy people. They can walk out, they can be funny, they can be healthy, they think better, they get more creativity, etc. So there's a lot of additional values that every piece of land is producing. We forgot this, or we didn't want to use it, or we didn't like to use it, whatever. And the next club that is under preparation at the moment, but there are a lot of people that already came and said, please let us do this, is I call it Intex Club, International Experts. For related sectors, like the medicine. Sorry, medicine is related to food, and via food is related to agriculture or forestry. Okay, so we need to integrate it. The education is linked, the sport is linked, the culture is linked to it, the art is linked. And there are some ideas that some people say we don't need art and culture anymore. Oy, oy, oy. Please, we throw away the creativity. And if we don't have creative humans, we will fail totally. We need the creativity. And please, I'm not a politician. I was never in any political party. But one thing is clear. We are not all the same. But in principle, all countries, all people are the same. But some have an effect. They are good in that or good in that. But sorry, when someone does not like music, why do we train him 2 hours in the music school per week for 8 years? Maybe he would have been a giant mathematician. So we have to optimize what is the element in a single person and to optimize. And we have not to say it is good when you work 8 hours or 6 hours or 20 hours a week or 40 hours a week. So no, the question that this what is inside the human is optimized. And we need everything. We forgot to repair. Sorry, we need repair because today we throw it away. This is not good. Sorry, we have to repair also because we did not calculate, did not evaluate how much is the value, I come later to it, when you destroy the nature or when you destroy a human. But sure, from the whole more or less balance sheet of a country, wonderful. More business in hospital is also turnover. And more hospital if you have fat people anywhere, drunken people is also turnover for the doctors. But it's not good for an integrative turnover. We have to be very careful how we manage this, and these 3 clubs should be a general club. This should be all of them not business-oriented. They must be without business-oriented, a cooperative club, but they can make costs, etc. But we have an advantage. There's no taxes if you have more or less a cooperative management club. This is in Austria so, and this is a global possibility. When we go to the next picture, it shows again, I've shown a little bit again, just because we say it now, data to information to precise integral decisions. Yeah, then we have to know what happens. How good is the nature, how beautiful is the nature, how dangerous can be the nature. And mathematics, again, can show us, in a few words, which problems we can evaluate today, or I did it in my case 30 years now. So, and what was the result of the valuation? I won at High Court as an expert at the court of this valuation, and we set up a valuation tool. And I saw the more or less economic values 30 years ago, and we evaluated it. And today I see the ecologic valuations, and I show you later models. And beside the ecologic valuation, we have future problems. They are here partly, we see them. Today when you go anywhere to a television or to YouTube, you see them daily, but they will come more. And in principle, it is the circular flow because there's nothing disappeared in the nature. What's going out is coming back, maybe 25 years. But when you put sulfur acid in the water, anywhere in Europe or in the US or wherever, it runs down. And maybe it's after 20 years destroying some elements, or some fish are eating plastic and they come with microplastic, they come back on your plate with sulfur acid in their stomach. It's circular flow. It's coming back, if you like it or not. But there's one integrative. The nature is an integrative model. And this we have to be aware. We have exponential growth, that is the graphics on the right side. We have circular flow, things are coming back. We have consequential problems. They are coming. When you have one problem, the next might follow, and the next one. When you take Mikado and take one stick down, and then the next is coming, the next is coming, the next is coming. If the whole thing is moving, it moves. And this is the nature. The rules are here, please. This is physics, mathematics, biology, etc. We cannot say these rules are not here. Sorry, we make a failure. How much this can be shown on maps, and maps is a fantastic tool. I was really working out. I have seen the maps, but I have not seen this 5 years ago. But since 3-4 years, I was evaluating. Look at what we see now on this map. The Corona map, maybe 2020. Where are the Corona? US very much, South America a little bit, Europe very much, Middle East very much, Southeast Asia and a little bit on the Australian borders, where are many people and high gross national products. When you look at the US map, you see Corona, and you see the map. The other map is more or less coal power stations. There is a relation between map A and map B. So there's a relation. Now look at the next map. And this I was working out 1 year long. I found them at the end, and I have still more better maps. The left is from Germany. They have a lot of historical maps. The left one is the gross national product of Germany. The middle one, the second from the left, is Corona. Oh, there you see something similarities. Interesting. The middle map is on the border. You see Czechia, you see eastern part of Germany, and you see from 1903, this is 1970, cancer maps in hospitals. And the map beside on it, so the second from the right, is from 1903. You see tuberculosis. And you see the map in the middle, you see there's the dying forests. Why? Where dying forests, left and right on both sides of the border, is coal power. A lot of coal. And when you heat coal and want to create energy, sorry, what will happen? SO2 or sulfur is coming out. That's it. And it started 1903. We have seen similarities. And when you see the map of 1903, you see the old German, more or less the Caesar from 1903. And you see a part of Poland, Silesia. You have the same problem here. A lot of coal. So you find it in eastern part of Germany, you find it in the mountains between Czech and Germany, and you find it in Poland. The same problem, tuberculosis. Why? There was a lot of coal in these regions. When you burn coal, SO2, we have seen it on the map from 2022 from the Vulcano in Spain. Same. And the right map, I have already a better one, but this is one that shows how many people are in the hospitals with corona problems. Not 100% because there's a transport in between. So a map shows us enormous possibilities. We can detect the causes for an effect. Because just to heal the effect, it's better to find out the cause. Why is it here? If I drink too much, I'm drunken. Causes was guiding it to an effect. And this is with the nature the same. This is a global rule, and the wind and the water is then distributing. That we see also on this map. Very precise, special when we look at the maps here on Czechia, on Poland, on Germany. Historical map, 1903. But, and this is the key question, when the Germans said they would like to stop coal, what happened? Poland said, we have coal, but we don't have east wind. No, it's also here. So the wind and the water connects the globe. If people like it or not, there is for wind and for water is no border. That's it. Let's go on the next map. This is something we did because I was working, when I worked with, go a little bit in the history, integrative modeling is very easy. When I know where a chimney is blowing out what, and when I know where the wind, or if it is a water problem, where the water is distributed, and when I know where the water is coming, then you know the result when you measure the result. That's an integrative task. This I did 30 years ago, and we have something that's interesting of the nature. The nature documents everything. Why? How? Very simple. The soil is complex, not easy to evaluate, but also we can evaluate it in the meantime. But we can evaluate it with the forest very easy. The yearing is a document of every year. And if I find a yearing in the same quality of forest from a forest that is not more or less under the pressure of an emission, I find the difference. This I found out 30 years ago. And the difference is simple. The difference was 25, 30, 35% different growth rate. So some chimney out after wind distribution destroyed something on the growth rate of a forest. And now the next question, how long? We made laws out of this because it destroyed it. Now 1 year, no, it's 30 years back. I find it today, what happened in the last 30 years and what will happen in the next 30 years. That's a legal question also. But some elements in the nature are indefinitive problems. They will not stop, because when you hit it once, then you hit it. And now we made, based on these rules, all the rules are ready, and we go in special seminars in these rules, and we can fine-tune it for every country. These rules are plus minus 60, 65, 70% precise. Because why? Because it's easy. We know how much forest, we know how much agriculture, we know how much was the court decisions that we had in Austria and some other countries. We know what is the gross national product. We know what is the energy use. We know what is the emission of the more or less only 2-3 main elements, not all of them. That means the result, the real result is bigger. And then we know also what is the valuation of the damage according to the legislation and the rules that we worked out 30 years ago with the civil engineers as a consortium. The rules are here. And the model is based on these rules and on court decisions. So when I know what I have to evaluate and to measure, I have the result. And the key question for the future is not that I don't want to hit anybody that he made a damage. This is not the key question for the future. The key question for the future, what is the problem, how do we solve it? And we must finance it also, please. This is best regards to the politicians. Just to close the eyes is too less. We will not. We have to solve the problem. If you want to have a sustainable globe, we have to solve a problem that moment when we detect it. We detected it in Austria, and it was also not easy, because not everybody liked it. That's a normal situation, a global situation, I would say. Therefore, we have to be very carefully, but if we as Homo sapiens would like to support our globe, we should think about it. And what I mentioned already, the key problems are clear. It was carbon dioxide that was mentioned. But sorry, when you heat a stove, before it becomes hot, when you start with the bad material, it stinks. Okay? It's not hot. And when you put the cold water on top of a stove, after 1 hour, the water starts boiling. Then you have a physics model. The water that is water in a liquid form gets water in gas form. Okay, it is in the air. Interesting. Then you start sweating because it becomes warm. And the water becomes boiling. This is the globe. There's nothing else. Just the same. And the main elements we have found in coal, we have found in oil, a little bit less in gas, and when you burn with hot temperatures it's NOx, and we have also a lot of others, also they come out. Therefore I say very simple, as long as we don't do a global balancing model, we will fail. We have to evaluate what we as humans do on the globe. Go to the next picture. I don't go into all details, but the details is rather 75,000 data was developed in roughly 3 years. From all the countries, with all the countries, groups of countries, the data are ready. But just show some principles. The World Bank showed me 2 years ago, I didn't update, but you can update the data every day, showed me what are the values that we have on global assets. 56 trillions. But when you say what are the damages based on this, it's a little bit bigger. Because I have not only the damage today, I have the damage maybe 10 or 20 years back or 30 years back, and I have it as an infinitive valuation for the future. Totally destroyed or not destroyed. This valuation question. And interesting is coming for me when I, in this valuation, take the interest rate. you have beside the normal interest rate, the banks try to get a bigger interest rate, so you have a growing interest rate. Wonderful. When you have the timing difference, just one number, you normally we calculate it, or in Austria we calculate, or in other countries 3-4% interest rate. Okay, when I have 4%, that means an infinitive problem is multiple 25. I have to put 100 euro or dollar on a bank account, get 4%, and then I have in 25 years the damage solved. So an infinitive damage is multiple 25. 3% multiple 33. 2% multiple 50. 1% multiple 100. Interesting. Less I had to pay back. There's something wrong in mathematics. And there's a lot of mathematic failures. That means if I have a damage and the damage is more than infinitive, I should to pay back the money they organized the damage. This is not true, please. But the interest on interest rate is organized like that. This cannot be, but we accepted it since decades. Since a couple of 100 years we do it like that. So mathematics is always a little bit tricky tool, because with mathematics you can cheat a lot of people. And this is my last words a little bit to this sector. And we found out a model how you can, with mathematics, evaluate precise, that we did not do. Why did we not do it? I don't know why we did not do it. I was not part. But a Spanish Galon went to India. No, it was North America, but they believed to be in India. Sorry, Mr. Themistocles, before Christ's birth, a Greek calculated it correct. Then another mathematics came and they believed they are in India. No, it was Africa. There was an error. So why did we do? Why the US is telling between US or Great Britain and Europe and other countries on the globe, one says this is a milliard, on the other side this is a billion. There's 3 digits different. So mathematics is very, very tricky sometimes. You can change very, very much with mathematics, and it is dangerous to do this, because the failure could be giant. Sorry, back to this picture, and then you see when you have mathematics, geodesy is an easy task if you have a flat area. This is 1 dimension, fine, meter, 5 meter, 10 meter, very precise. 2 dimensions is already a little bit more complex. 3 dimensions, this is our nature. Oh, it becomes more and more complex. It's not so easy. And when you take the 4th dimension, the time to it, and the 3 dimension can change, then it becomes still more complex to calculate. And there we found a formula where you can more or less, with a lot of very, very good guys, and I'm really happy that I found them out. This is Eratosthenes, still Columbus problems, the Fourier greenhouse effect, is also here, Riemann believing the truth after 163 years, we found it out. The mathematical valuation is here. That means in future we can evaluate very precise if we evaluate an image and take the image as 2 or 3 images over a factor time. Then we know precise what is coming. And when you look at the top right picture, there's a very tricky, and it guides us to the bark beetle problem when you have an exponential growth. When the nature kicks back, it can be rough, very rough. Because the exponential growth then suddenly shows I was walking on the mountain, 10 hours I fell down, after 30 seconds I was gone. And this is the nature with an exponential growth. We have to be careful, but we have now solutions and we can solve the problems. But the interesting is, and this is for me personally, I come later maybe on some personal experience, personally of interest, it is a cooperative need on a global scale. If we don't cooperate, wind and water links us over time. That means we have to think from the politician side on a totally different model of the future. Thank you. That was something a little bit, not philosophy, but let's say mathematics. It guides. And maybe here you see on the last picture a few things also, that mathematics can be tricky, but when you link mathematics with food, with energy, with all together, I come later to some interesting tools that we say the energy can produce sustainable food and the farmer can be sustainable food producer. And do we need all these things? No. This organization that supports the quality of the nature must support the quality of a certified food, the certified nature, and the certified healthy and happy human. Easy balancing model, not complex. I'm not responsible for the medical side, but I just need to count the medical people in the hospitals. Less will be better than more. Thank you. A last page I would like, because I forgot it, to work out for solution for countries. So the key question, how can we set up solutions for countries? We worked rather long to have it ready, a complete new business model where we have technology, we need education, we need cooperation, we need to integrate all of them. So how to set it up? We will do it, and the model is ready, and some organizations have already structured the whole thing and are cooperating. We need at first step a pilot project to set up, and that starts with training of local experts from the sectors like ministries, bank, insurance, companies, advisory organizations, suppliers, customers, all get the basic training to get an overview. Then we have to have local necessary structures, local experts, they get local safer specialists, collect basic data like cadastre, costs, revenues, crops, trees, needed structures, etc., and set up cooperative models or advisory models. And the pilot project is then done in different steps. That means we need to set up it 3-4 months to do the local data finish and have it local with local experts under their guidance done. And then maybe 2 years, or in some countries 3 years, work all partners together and have the pilot regions that covers a little bit of the country, depending on the agriculture structure, on the different agriculture structures, based on the satellite image on minimum 1 million 0.5 meter resolution or 1 meter resolution if not available, and then it goes up to 5,000 square kilometer. We can also add on drone images, and then the statistics becomes higher. We can integrate with drone statistic. Fantastic possibilities. And then we need altogether in the last months, or in 30 to 36 and 24 to 36 close and upgrade, we need to evaluate the results. We need to have return of invest calculations precise. I can bring it for the beginning, a rough, but then we get it precise together with local experts, with all the local data. So and then we have a lot of training and a lot of expertise and a lot of data, and we set up the whole thing. In every country we can set it up with reasonable costs, and after 3 years we know precise what should be done, that we bring the farmers to make sustainable nature, to make sustainable working, healthy farmers, to create healthy food. And there's a lot of possibilities, and based on it I can build up with Produce countries offer. You get in 1 week a detailed offer, including roughly return of invest. And after the first 3-4 months after a pilot project, more or less signed, we can have the precise data with the local experts. And then the local experts accompany the whole thing for a period of 2-3 years. And then we have all the detailed data, and we have a return of investment for farm per hectare, for the government, and for all involved partners. Because again, we need the business. I'm very precise in business-related questions. We need to calculate all of them: the minister, the farmer, the transport unit, etc., the insurance, the finance, all is needed. But it cannot be one have everything and the rest has nothing. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. We need a return of investment model that more or less integrates all the partners that have to solve a problem. Thank you. The last bigger point is now wind and water and its global distribution, evaluation, and short and long-term effects of it. Globally, these two main factors, driven by nature and physics, relates all activities over the time, without understand global, all local details of nature, we do things wrong, as nothing disappears. The nature has a balance model, and this we should evaluate. So I will go now through some of the things, and maybe some elements you will hear the second time a little bit, but I think it's important to integrate them. Some words about energy. Energy was one of the main suppliers of energy, was many hundreds of years ago, the forests. So, but I was evaluated still in energy, forest as energy supplier, from the logs, from the water, from the wind, etc. Especially in the mountains, it was of importance since hundreds of years. My core decision that I could reach was okay, gave me huge understanding and guided me to IT and guided me to expert in this question. We had some funny experience also with public experts. Not all experts were experts at this time because it was new for them. They didn't evaluate them. And then we had on the other side, we had in the mountains always a lot of local energy supplier. But the energy, people wanted monopoly. They didn't want to share it. So this was also a legal question behind. So energy new means to integrate energy. We have solar energy, few words, 10,000 times more as energy consumed global. And we have wind and water, minimum in roughly the same amount, decentral. Water and energy. When you pump a water from 10th floor, you keep it when it's falling down as a rain, and to have it downflowing from 2 or 3, a micro turbine can work with it. Why don't we use it? We could use it. Wind energy, the same. So wind and water energy was used over hundreds of years, but we forgot because we said we found now coal and we found now oil and later gas. We have to rethink, and decentral is much available, not centralized. Mountain was energy suppliers, company pumps up water, sells at good prices, I have the causes here. In mountains, ecological drama came after 25 years. Open stubble had energy, lake storage was full, rivers and fish had damages. This I know the case, I was involved in the case, but one didn't believe. We had very early permafrost problems seen in Siberia. Sorry, when a wooden element on a wooden house is not straight or horizontal, it's a problem of permafrost opening in summer. This was visible 30 years ago. Now it's easier, and now it's a big thing, and there's coming a giant thing in Siberia, in North Canada, in Alaska, when Ethan is coming back, and it comes back, because it was stored 250 million years ago. So that means court, energy and administration, it was not always easy to evaluate it, but you can evaluate it, because again, the nature makes a protocol. Few years, the soil and the humus, 100 or plus 100 years more, the forests with year rings. Also, every ice kernel is a historical evaluatable element. How much CO2 or anything else in the ice in thousands of years back. And also the geology is a historical monument. And it tells, and they found some samples, when you come to the seminars, we will evaluate how not ecology, and that geology can really define what happened 100,000 years ago here. We could have found out that the tsunami and Fukushima had a relation 10 times with 80 to 100,000 years time between. Geology has shown it, and could have shown, but it was not evaluated. A little bit words about the future that we have to create. At the end is easy. I was always an easy thinking person. Let's say a healthy nature creates a healthy food that gives healthy and creative people, because the brain is also linked to our body. And at the end, we have to support with farmers maybe also the possibility to have evaluated a certified nature with certified quality, high quality of food, and then the certified human we must not evaluate. We know how many are in the hospital finished. Rather simple. So that means this is a mobile equipment that you see here. This can be owned by 25 or by 50 farmers, and this is some are working here with it on the sales. Some are working as a farmers. One or two are driving, and when you drive with it, you open it. It is a sustainable energy model, and you have in 5 minutes you have built up a garden, a restaurant, and a sales organization. Very quick. And we have here a special food, and this is now on the way to get a global franchising model linked to all the certification around, because we need a certified food for a certified nature and for certified healthy humans and creative humans. That's it. And who is destroying this should not be certified. He should be said, this is one organization, public, private, whatever, this is not sustainable. So this is a complete new possibility of getting, and also the financing can be 100% involved. Best regards to the financing people. I had some relatives, they had many decades ago working in such certification models. But not in this, it was another topic. But this means certify healthy nature, the value of the nature will increase. These are the 30, 40 years. And when you have happy and healthy people, the value will also increase. So, why don't we build up complete new models? Financing models. We don't want to have one is doing giant income and the rest has a problem. No. Healthy nature and healthy human can be valuated. And this is a complete new stock market. A complete new one that is sustainable and creates a healthy nature and creates healthy humans and creates also a good income for all related elements, including the people, small or big one, they invest something because these values we will need, believe me. We don't need the rest of everything, no. But we need a sustainable nature and healthy creative people. And the jobs in future will be giant. Believe me, if someone is a little bit creative, if not, you should come in a seminar. I will tell them how many jobs with creative people will be done. Enormous. And one element of the jobs will be to have a sustainable nature. From the garden till to the farmer. And the farmer could be helped by a farmer that wants to have a bigger farm, fine. He should link 20 people with a small money and they help him 10 hours a week or 20 hours, etc. And then they get something. So it's very easy to build up complete new financing model that are sustainable and long-term. A few pictures. Farm to fork means the whole thing. There on this picture you see a little bit of this new, this stove is patented on a global scale. This is ready and creates a sustainable, healthy food. And sure, the food is made out of grain. The grain must also be certified that it is healthy and good. And on the other side, the fulfillment, depending what people like. Can be an ice, can be a meat, can be cheese, can be whatever. And you have a fantastic new food. And on the left top down, you build up in 2 minutes a garden. To set up a garden, the restaurant goes very quick. Some pictures that you can do it, and this is everything ready and can be under a franchise model, be sold to global partners. So high quality food must need for high quality humans, no doubt. And global franchise gives you the possibility to start your local business. Go to a cooperative for farmers, take 1,000 farmers, fine, they can organize it. They can organize themselves the entire sales process. Not the rest, because these people who support the nature on ecologic valuation, and this must be certified. Also, the farmers are not only holy people, like all others, but if certified, you have a correct bookkeeping and a correct value, and this value will increase, and it will be long-term. Go on the next picture, you see other possibilities. They are already set up, depending what someone likes, what maybe the religion or the structure in these countries, whatever. They might have total different things. It can be easily done. Can be done for everybody, but it is a franchise model, and this is the kernel. Okay, the kernel is such a thing, you can produce it very quick, very cheap, return of invest is good, and the result is healthy and happy humans. This is the main target, not if you eat something then you have a problem 3 days later or maybe 2 hours later. This is not that what we need. And the market. Finance people, when they come and say how big is the market, very simple. We have 13.5 milliard European billion USG, Great Britain, hectare of land. And we have close to 9 milliard people on the globe. They all need 3 times a day food, maybe some only 2 times. They need water and they need air. Who is producing it? The nature is producing it. For sure, I have not seen any cow standing in a food shop. No, the cow is outside and has grass to eat, and when the cow has good grass, then the meat will be good. When the grass is not okay, the meat will not be good. It's a very simple rule. So that means we have a lot of possibilities to make a sustainable business. And the market is more than giant because all people need food, water, air, energy, and at the end also fun and to get creative and learn creative, cooperate and integrate. Global franchise gives the possibility to start your local business tomorrow, and I think the key question will be the cooperation model. It's not always a single or a monopole model. No, it's a cooperative model. And many people, also if they are not farmers, but they can cooperate. Why should, as a not farmer, I not invest some bucks into the farm and say, okay, I have not so much, but I could work in the next 5 years, make an agreement, 10 hours a week with you. And I am in the nature, I am in the Greenland, and I help you a little bit to work. Fine. Boy, a complete new business model for farmers, possibly. And the next element we have here is the possibilities of communication. Seeing what is done in the communication on a global scale, for sure, in many cases, in the past, monopolies have to be tried to set up their business. A short time it was okay, but it was not long term. No long term. Now we build up a possibility where we have with OkTube, OkTalk, there's a technology behind. Everybody can use it with us together. Everybody can talk what he likes to talk, and he can link thousands of users to a thing and can say, I invite 100,000 people tomorrow, click, register here, and you are here. And we can educate people because the education model will be a great possibility. We need not to tell the peoples what they should do in our ideas alone. No, we should cooperative and integrative talk with the people. What are the possibilities of the nature? What are the possibilities of the humans? If we cooperate better, what could we do in a cooperative manner? This is also a technology question. I like technology, always like technology, but it has linked to the nature possibilities. So that the next, and the pre-last picture is just once a summary of that, what we have seen. It is a global picture. The whole thing, you see there's Sahara and there's a lot of desert and there's some green and not so green areas, but we have to optimize the whole thing. And it will change. It changed always. Sorry, India went once from Africa and pushed the Himalaya. Sorry, this was a giant energy question. Okay, and we spoke about the forest and the beetles to evaluate and the beauty of the nature and the whole energy question, the mathematic that integrates it. Very important for me, mathematics can integrate the whole thing. So it means we can in future evaluate precise problems that are here, that we have to get the cause and the effect. And we have also over time, that means if we just have pictures, 3 pictures in a year for the harvest, or 3 pictures in a decade, then I know the change. And based on the change, I can always calculate very precise what will be the next step from the nature, or if it is in the hospital problem, also what will be the change, because some things I have to detect earlier. The time is a very, very important factor. And at the end to that, what we have from the mathematics side, it is a lot of mathematics based in. I think this is rather unique. And there I have, beside other excellent mathematicians, I can just finalize that I really respect this Mr. Einstein. He said about nature, about politics, about human and finance and time, some interesting things. These are again integrated, all of them, and I just would like to more or less tell you a few of them that long, long ago Mr. Einstein mentioned. And he was right, very, very early. Let's start from the nature. Nature is more or less all of them are interested. Recognize a problem is important. No solution is no cause of problem. Progress lies from the exchange of knowledge. The value of the achievements lies in what has been done. In the middle of difficulties lie also the possibilities, very important for us. People must shame if no thought use miracle of people or the economy and have not grasped. More of it mentally, that the cow of the botany, of the plants which it eats with pleasure. And the rest, guidance, therefore in green and in red, to politics. One must be a sheep to be a blameless member of a flock of sheep. Few words to the politics. We've only taken out two of them. No, 4, 7, 9, 11. Okay, repeat this. 7. The world isn't threatened by the evil ones, but by those who allow evil to happen. Most human activities has been based on a fear of stubbornness. Two things are infinite, universe and human stupidity. About one, I'm not sure. I don't know the weapons be used in Third World War. The force will be stones plus sticks. It is more difficult to smash a preconceived opinion than an atom. The horizon of many people is like circles with a radius 0. It is then their point of view. A view to humans to have happiness in the life connected with goals, never with people or things. Education is what is left when you forget all that you learned in school. Wonderful. Happy persons, satisfied with the present, worries about the future. And the last one here is, man invented the atomic bomb, but no mouse would construct a mousetrap. Also interesting about animals and their witness as well as the humans. So, the last is finance, a few words. So, poorest form of insanity is to leave everything as it is and hope something will change. Good, only one. So, and the next one is time. 2 hours sitting with a girl is like 1 minute. 1 minute at the hot stove is like 2 hours. That is relative meaning of time. And time is one thing, the human have no time, the nature has time. 14.5 billion against 2,000 or 6,000, 0.001, whatever. So, a closure, some words from my side also: sustainable, accept rules, integral, cooperative, global, and not left or right use myth. Jobs with more brain, fun, nature. To politics. And to humans, we need food, drink, air, fun, cooperate, satisfaction, long term. A few words about finance. Not evaluate only dollar or euro, healthy nature, humans, integral and global tasks. And time, nature tells us speed, don't harm, it support problems. So, and the last, to the nature, educate, cooperate, nature gives creativity, not only IQ. And something that's changing dramatically in the wrong direction at the moment. IQ is not the only solution. We are in front of a change, and the change needs very, very good creativity, and not to do the same wrong that we did in the past wrong. Thank you very much, and I hope I could give you some ideas. And if more, please contact us, speak with us. The cooperation and the communication is of highest importance for the future. Thank you. So now at the final session, I would like to introduce a little bit precise the 15 supporting targets. Some of them we have mentioned already, some of them will be new, but it is supporting targets that are minimum needed for getting the high-end needs. And the high-end needs, I say, this is, if we fail, we will fall. That means, repeat, nature and humans, globally integrate safer model, sustainable food, water, air and energy. It's a must to be integrated together. Public-private partnership with few global rules and many local targets, and the cooperation global. Ecology, economy and energy, and evaluate causes for integrated effects. Transfer data to information to precise integral decisions for defined targets. Wind and water and its global distribution, evaluated short and long-term effects, and locally summarized global balance based on integral mathematics, physics, biology, so existing rules, and integrate local, regional, global responsibility of politics, organizations, and of all of us, and patenting integral economy, energy, and support ecology. So, the targets of global network of humans and nature, this is something that is a must to have and to organize. Supporting targets is, they will support the whole thing, and let us mention just 15 of them. There are some more, but these are the main important ones. And then we have reduced the whole thing to the really needs that is important to be done. Clubs I mentioned already on one page. You can look again at the page. It's 3 clubs. It means it is Education Clubs of Otsiach. There we have already some 100 members. And then we have SDCC, Safer Digital Country Consortium. We have already 8 members and will increase very quick now. The 8 members have some 100 people as co-workers. And then we have the Integral Expert, that new setup, but it is for the experts that are linked to nature, to food, to involvement of all of this. So this, look at what I told, but this is important to have these cooperation models, and it is integral experts. They all are related to nature, to food. Then bad food will not give happy and creative people out of a bad nature. Very simple. The mathematical rules, I gave you a little bit overview. Again, maybe some feedback. I had the luck that I had some very, very good mathematical professors. They gave me good idea. That was Peterlech on the university. And they found me or guided me more or less in the last years back to the Riemann Foundation. The Riemann model was not found 163 years, but I think we found the solution, because they always found out that Riemann is correct, but it's not true mathematically verified. It's verified in the meantime. I spoke about other mathematicians. There are a lot of them, and we found them also integrating their rules, including Einstein, including the old Eratosthenes. There are a lot of integrative mathematicians. They give a solution, and this solution gives with the global, but it needs global cooperative work, and then we have in 25 years maybe a 99.9% precision. With my experience of the past, it's not a global one, it was a local one, and some global experience. It gave me the concept ready, but if we have experts and we summarize the whole thing and cooperate with local experts, out of soils, out of agriculture, out of forestry, out of nature, out of emission, out of industry, out of doctors, etc., then we can get up to 99.9% precision. And as the same model is valid for the nature as it is for humans, we can also solve humans with these mathematical models much better than in the past. The global valuation model is more or less verified, and it is the verification experience also of local support of high court decisions, and it has a background of 75,000 data. Based on this 75,000 data, some data from Food and Agriculture Organization, some from World Health Organization, some data are public data from local experts and local experts group and countries like gross national product, so normal big business data, and also data of use of energy. So if we link them together, then we know how much is exhaust and how much is the problem, so that we can evaluate with a plus minus 20-30% precision. Then we have to fine-tune it with local experience. But one thing is clear, the data that are behind is only based for the main problems of today and of the past. And please, we have integrative problems, very many, and we have not, and I have not evaluated all the problems that are here, and they are here. So that means the 99% precision can be much higher than that what I evaluated with my 65%. But this is linked to local experience, because I just evaluated the main topics, SO2, NOx, a little bit water, CO2, not yet fluor, a little bit experience of fluor, a little bit experience of microplastic. But just imagine what is the valuation. And the model is a simple one. Therefore, I guide very much to the more or less global balance model. Everything what is output anywhere is elsewhere an input. And this is giant. Alone microplastic, I made the calculation, is on the global seas roughly 2.5 kilo from the last 50 years per cubic meter water, microplastic. And it calculates an own ecology system, please. Some animals, whale get it in their stomach, they don't have they have problems, but they don't have a new ecosystem, but they will change the ecosystem. And the ecosystem of small virus will change, because we had already animals, they have been surviving with 30% CO2, and now we have 0.34. So that means the nature will change, and this is called evolution. The humans cannot change quick. The nature can change on time. And this is something we have to be a little bit carefully. The corona maps I have shown you, we have shown similarities on maps between 1903 from tuberculosis till 2022. So we know that there's a relation between what we get in with food, what we take in with the air, what we take in with water. The nature needs it, the humans need it, both. And when the input is changing, then the result will also be a changing one. And exactly that we had. And we had never before, just one number maybe for repeat, what in 250 million years has been stored in the crust of the globe. in SO2, sulfur, was in 160 years to a very big percentage thrown out again, with coal, with oil, and a little bit with gas. And if we evaluate this precise, we would very quick come to a number that we say, sorry, coal is good for energy, clear, but it's bad for many, many other factors. We have to throw it away. Oil was not good. Oil had a lot of, and I'm not sure, nothing against Chinese, but if the Chinese will get rid of all sulfur that is exhausted between 2 and 4 or 6% of the coal, I don't believe this. And one problem is, best regards to the US, the jet streams in 10-kilometer haze blow from China to California. First, it lands there, and it will come down. So that means we are linked to the whole thing, and we have to see this first time in the globe as a global problem that can only be solved together. No other choice. Energy and damage global. Clear, we needed energy, we wanted to make business, energy was a lot of things, and when I listen what now happens today with energy and what is the playing the game of energy, wonderful. Everybody plays the game of energy, good for one, bad for the other one, etc., and this is business model. Fine, but energy is, sorry, integrative energy is here. I just repeat once more, on a small house, middle in the forest, I had 2 square meters of solar panels done 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago, and I pumped the water 250 meter distance and 25 meter haze and had 60 square meters roughly. So it was a way label. Why didn't we do this? This is not understandable for me. Energy is here, and if we have new energy and if you search energy models, we have them ready. All small houses they have all a roof, but on top of the roof, we have something to throw away the water. Why don't we use the water as an energy? No, we give it away. We make own pipelines for the water and put the good water with the bad water together, and then it is all wastewater. Is this good as we do it? And the way out of the whole thing is nothing else than a deep understanding and set up pilot projects. Pilot project means to evaluate, to educate, to have local experts working together and say, let us do it on 100,000 hectare, for example, with a big group of farmers. Change the model with a big group of farmers, and then we get all the data that we need how to optimize it. Then we can roll it out. So a pilot project also, and this is something that it's great that United Nations came because the people spoke about carbon alone. It's not carbon alone, please. It's many, many more. But carbon is here, and CO2 is a problem because it's one of the key problems, but it's a secondary or follow-up problem. But if we do carbon, sorry, now we speak about logs, they buffer carbon, wonderful. But sorry, a wet soil is also buffering carbon, and the humus is also buffering carbon. And we have closed all the soils, the wet soils, and made them dry in the last decades. So what about the carbon buffer of the soils? This is a giant buffer. And the valuation of the ecology value, sorry, the value that United Nations pays for carbon buffering is higher already than the value that you get after costs for logs. Interesting. First we tried to make logs, then we optimize it, and now we pay for carbon, and carbon is then, I call it an ecological value, because a tree also doing more than only produce logs. He buffers carbon, but he produces oxygen, he produces a nice view, a nice recreation for people, etc. So the forest and also the agriculture guides to a lot of other values than only productivity as we have measured it only in kilogram or in tons or in euro or dollar or whichever currency. There's much more here, but we forgot on this. So there are pilot projects including financing can be great and easy payable. There's a financing possibility from the United Nations, from other, and we can when I can measure the rest, we can also measure the carbon. To measure the carbon, I have to know how many forests are growing per year, how many cubic meters are growing. I evaluate it within images, and I have to make several detailed calculations to evaluate it precise. Fine, then I have to evaluate the humidity of the soil, and then I know how much water is buffered. And believe me, if the temperature is increasing, that means we have evaporation. It will more water coming down. That's a normal physical question. Because in the kitchen, I mentioned already, when it becomes warm, the pot of water will start boiling and the humidity will increase. And this will happen on the globe as well. And this will be a giant change. So then we have to define local, regional, and global targets. Again, to repeat, because I mentioned it already, we need organizations like United Nations, or FAO as a sub-organization from the United Nations for Food and Agriculture Organization, the World Health Organization for the human health, and UNIDO for the United Nations, also Technology and Business Organization, and for the energy. We need to integrate these three big organizations to define one integrative target for the globe. This is a little bit different than, I don't know, made in Himalaya, a local target. That's another one. But the local target must fit to the big rules as well. So we have to integrate them, otherwise we will fail. We will have not, because we have a global target to be done in future. We can only do it cooperative. We need local, regional, and on top, few global. Few global and many local and regional targets. And integration also, please, and this special welcome on all the countries, they pay subsidies. The subsidies and the return of invest with integral cause and effects was calculated? No, I don't know any country that does it. Because when you pay subsidies, normally it is paid per hectare. Wonderful. So the farmers in Europe, they smashed away all small elements around this hectare. But they brought a lot of integral values. They were growing some small flowers, they had some beetle, the beetle was an enemy against other one. But so we sold more pesticides, or we sold then more fertilizer, because we changed a lot. And we, on the other side, we just said, okay, the next value is tons per payment. So the farmer got paid per tons or kilograms and got paid per hectare. So they had to throw away all the synergetic hectares with bushes, with windbreakers, etc. A lot of possibilities that we had, them also in Austria, but in other countries the same. But we did not evaluate it. It was simply wrong. Why an organization like the European Union did this, I have no idea. I did never understand it. I mentioned it several times, but it was not accepted. It was only measured the value in tons and in hectares. Please, the nature is a little bit more than only to produce tons or hectare of sizes. And the value, I call it ecological values, however you name it, it's ready, it is done, and we have an example in Austria that it is part of the law. Today, it was not mentioned, it was not done, not certified, not evaluated, what is simply wrong. So, and for the damages and subsidies, because they are linked together, and the politic and the cross-border question, because the wind doesn't stop at the border and the water does not also not stop at the border. So, and we need politics, we need administration, we need legal. Where are the people who do this? Are they doing it? Are they evaluated in this direction? Did they evaluate the whole topics? Did they cross-border discuss it? A simple example. We have 193 or even more countries. When I have in every country 10 regions for the ecology, fine. Then I have 200 multiplied is 2,000. And when I have 100 different legislation, so I have 2,000 multiple 100 are 200,000. And when I have 1,000 lines, so I have 200 million lines that I make an ecological evaluation of the globe. Not possible. I cannot support this. So we have to have a total different model also from the legal side, from the politics, from the administration. And please, this is also a question of responsibility. Who is responsible for what? Hey, we always said it's here. No, it's not always here. It will change, and it changes dramatically, and it changes quick. Who is responsible? Politics, administration, the law, the people they are doing it, or whatever. Total not close this question. Then we are happy we got now partnering in a big European Union Eco-Ready project, and have some global tasks for produce integration with our technology. And I got already a lot of questions from partners there. That's mainly universities or big organizations. How can we cooperate? Because the target of this Eco-Ready project is also to fulfill the project, but with the project partners, mainly universities or big expert groups, we can sit together and say, okay, let us set up a pilot project here and there, because we need showcases here and there. And what is great is also from the European Union, the Joint Research Center, that is responsible for the whole agriculture and also for the subsidy evaluation and for the sustainability evaluation. This is Joint Research Center is one of the key organizations taking part. And with cooperation, we did also some more prepared during the last 3 years. This is one thing we have with a colleague from the music, from the reggae music. He's coming from Central America, original, but studies here in Graz. Music, and was interesting with another Walter, cooperating music. And I believe I was, as a student, I liked music as well very much. And music is great to make joy and to transfer information via music. We have a fantastic possibility to integrate music events into this concept. We need a sustainable globe, and we need better cooperation on a global scale. The second is we have partners. They are great, and we work since many years with them regarding satellite images. And there is a team of 5 high-end experts. They can integrate and have already integrated the identification of images, some of the pictures you have seen. How can we identify images? Clear. We can identify images because an image gives an enormous, precise information, but gives an information. The image itself is no information. That's a nice image. On the wall I can put it. But when I can evaluate the image, then suddenly out of the image with a lot of information, local information, I create better information about this. So there's a team that is here and that is ready. Then we set up with a partner that I know since many years, a fantastic food possibility. He has built up a complete patented and also franchisable model about clever food that is maybe a little bit more intelligent than many other food stuff that we eat today, because we should look a little bit of what we eat, because we would like to get with good food a little bit more healthy and, if possible, also a little bit more clever, not the opposite around. So the food is ready, and we have in the Croatian border, directly on the harbor, the first restaurant that is doing the whole thing, and you can visit it. And we will also link the whole education model to it, because I see education in 2 lines coming. The one is for the top people to have a meeting, to sit together 3-4 days or 1 week, and to evaluate how can we set this up in a country, this model. And then is a huge education model, is the digital education. We have the technology ready that we can spread out digital for local needs in local languages. And we have a team in India that is very excellent, and they set up the whole education model with local experts. Because I don't want to educate everybody in every country. This is not possible. We need local experts, because the local expertise is needed to make an education. But therefore you must organize the first step and the pilot project, and then the education model will run rather quick. So, and the whole thing is of interest because we have MUE, a German company that is doing on one side the stove production. This is high-end, very clever, more or less metal plus electronic integrated product that you can produce very quick. And the same company is foreseen also for sun, water, and solar integration, energy into the whole concept, that we have the integration also in a group of companies. They cooperate very close together. I repeat, products for new stoves, products for new energy, products for food sales on a new model, products for satellite images, products for music events on a global scale, on the local scale, also digital and analog with local, and they are famous. These groups are famous, and we want to integrate all for a simple target: having certified quality of nature on a certified food with these products, and happy and healthy people for the output. That's more or less a complete, simple input-output model, and we have tried to get the best people around this, and I think we can do something that is sustainable. That's the key question. And it needs also a new business model for it. I don't want to go in all the details yet of the business model, but when you have questions for this, it's ready. The principle, there is a business plan ready, but the main topics is that we also have on the business model to integrate different groups, main 5 groups. The one is the financing, global financing, and regional or continental financing, and then country financing. This is one element. The other element is we need the clubs, the 3 types of clubs. This is a small element, but they mustn't integrate cash, but they have their know-how. They can integrate the know-how and say okay, the group gets a limited money, but they can integrate many people with their know-how. It's a high value, because the knowledge is a value, the integrative knowledge is a value. The 3rd group, we need 193 minimum countries or regions or some expert on the countries, and if possible public and private, and they can start with a pilot project and they get shareholder automatically. So we want to have a first company that is an integral global working company with a similar same target: to have a sustainable nature for healthy, happy and creative people. Very simple, with a good sustainable food. That's it. And the rest is then we need IT partners. That might be also big IT partners, small one, companies they are working in a country, big companies they have a network in 3, 5, 10 or 20 countries or in a continent or beyond continent. And we need some high-end, excellent IT companies from the hardware side. They can, because what we will have is big data. They need to be very quick with giant data. We are not a bookkeeping company. This is really big data what we bring. And we need big data managing technologies. They are able not only to manage big data, also to use less energy. And when we have this, and we have them already found, then we can integrate them or others also to it, because this will be again a cooperative task to be done. So I think this is more or less the last thing. Maybe I can show you some pictures that logically some of the experience I faced regional and local. I found problems out very early, because when you live here and when you are forester and civil engineer and work in parallel, you see that there are problems. And I show you just some pictures of problems. They are for me existing 20, 30 years. Not everybody wanted to see it. But local in the mountains, you see maybe a problem earlier than if you are on a flat land, and the other supporter of a problem is maybe 1,000 kilometers far away. And in the mountains, you have something specific. The physics is hard because water is running down, finish. On the other side, you have also more possibilities to see, because in winter, between the mountains, you get clouds. The dirt cannot be thrown away. It stuck here. So the concentration is in winter higher. And with a higher concentration, you see a problem earlier. I haven't seen it because I'm better. No, because between the mountains you see a problem earlier. And if you are able to measure it and to evaluate it and to document it, fine. Then you know what's ongoing. And this is something that we can transfer now, but only back to the business model. It is only possible to solve it with a global cooperative model, with best technology, with best finance and insurance people with it, and sit together and say, we make it. We start with pilot project. In 2-3 years, we have them up and running in many countries, and then we can rush throughout the countries. That we build up a business model on a new model for a global sustainable Earth. Thank you very much. At the end, I would like to discuss a little bit about the legal environment that happened during the last decades. Maybe let us go a little bit back to understand this question, because as an expert at the court, I was involved many decades for this question. And I had already after 1983, I wrote a book about dying forests and bad air. And for me, it was clear from this point, when you have a strong emission, then you have a transfer to another direction with wind or with water, depending on the emission. If the emission is water-oriented or is wind-oriented on the air, and then you have an emission, and then there's a problem occurs. And this integrative question was clear, and I wrote a book about this. And then I had some court cases, and I had some court winnings with expertise where a damaged forest, this was in the 80s, end of 80s, had to be paid the damages. And the ownership of the most industries and of the biggest energy suppliers were the government. So there conflict arose, because the government wanted to sell energy, and it made damages on the forests that also partly belonged to the same government, but they were different. So the competition came also from the organizations, from the public organizations. Is it ministry, is it chamber, is it private organization? There was a conflict, because one wanted to have the income and the other should have the damages. And this was for me rather clear, and based on the first very complex things that I was winning, a lot of them, also with other sources, not only with forest damages, also with agriculture damages, or with tunnel damages, because material was more or less, the ownership was changed of the existing material, because someone else wanted to have the material, we won. That means then a conflict came up, but I was searching solutions for a global problem. For me, was a global problem always clear, because wind and water was a part of the game, and they distributed. And we had the problem in the Alps, in the mountains, because in winter there came a coverage of clouds, and the emission concentration became very big under the clouds, because the wind could not be away. So in winter you had enormous plenty of emissions, also with high concentration. So the result we have seen much earlier than many other countries. And we had already with problems with iron, we had 250 years ago with the problems, we started the forest inventory, just the same model. When you have a problem, then maybe you learn a little bit earlier that there's a problem. So what happened then? Then I tried with a lot of IT. This was the reason that drove me to IT. That drove me as Apple computer, later as a computer. Then I started GIS developments. And with all the technology, finally, we are now able to do the whole thing on a global scale. And this I do, and I cannot be stopped to do, to build up the truth, because today we have an environment that tells us, the nature tells us it is hurt, and the nature starts to kick back. And the kickback is hard from the nature, and will come and it will increase. And I have rather good experience what will happen in the next 10 years. And this is not easy. You can read it in my next book that's coming out. This is rather hot. And as well as I had 1983, I was absolutely correct, and I wrote a little bit more than big organizations were speaking about the question of carbon. Carbon is a second source. So carbon is not the original problem. The original problem was else I already was speaking. And a little bit now about the court here in Austria, because here I was driven to the court, first as an expert at the court, and then some of the big guys, they said, oh, he has something, he owns something, we would like to kick him away. This is not nice what he is doing. And I was parallel, not only as an expert, not well seen by many owners of emissions, I was also an owner of ground and a owner of houses, of real estate. I could increase. And then suddenly everything went. Then I had, when they started to went, I found a very big partner. We signed all the agreements with the agreed government sources. And in that moment, when everything was signed, the war started. Against my big partner, the war was much bigger for him, And he won in a couple of weeks ago. He won in the High Court in Italy now after 12 years. And in the meantime, it started also against me. And the nice thing is, I don't stop the whole thing. I go now further on the more or less on the corruption agencies. We have a lot of them here in Europe as well as global on the United Nations. And the people have to understand that when you destroy the nature, it is not good for the health of the people and or of the nature. Why for both? Simple. All the products from agriculture is nature products. They are not growing in the shops, sorry, they are growing in the nature. And the nature is growing the food, the nature produces the water with or without the food, and the nature produces oxygen. And the big exchange between plants and humans and animals is very simple. The one needs oxygen to take in, and out is CO2. And the other one is exactly the opposite around. The plants take in CO2 and out is oxygen. And in between is everything linked with water. And when you now hit the water with different chemicals, it's not nice. Because exactly that happened on the globe. And then you have acids. Then you have acids that roughly were buffered in the crust of the globe in 250 million years, and we have used it in 160 years. That's the reason of the problem we face today globally. Very easy. And the court cases is between, because on the court nobody wanted to understand the whole thing. So that means I have got in the last 2-3 days, thank you also to the Austrian government, a high court decision, administrative court decision, that where they tried to kick me, it was wrong. It was done by someone else, but I was part, and all the people they are around me also are listed there. So at the end we have an administrative court decision. In the next 6 weeks I can go against this and with this, and they are listed, all the people they were against me. And there are a lot of more is listed there, because there were the administrative people, there were lawyers, there were banks. There were a lot of the people that tried to, because it started 10 years ago when I signed the agreement, the big agreement, that more or less had everything solved what the banks tried to cash in. Everything. 4 times everything solved. But then the hurt started. And now I'm on the ready way to go, and I believe on a legal environment, and I think there have some communities, some regions have done some things that is not okay, because they are themselves swear, this is not my task to do it, they were greedy or stupid. This I don't know, it's a legal question. But there were lawyers, there were banks, there were administrative body, there were the government, there were politicians, there were a lot of experts also embedded. Interesting. And this is coming back now because I really will fight for the environment. That means the agriculture, the forestry, everything. Also, they did not only good things, a lot of things. Also, the government made totally wrong decisions, also the European Union, and we have to evaluate it, etc. In the future, what is good? Therefore, I discussed before also what technology is here, because at the end we have to evaluate in future an integrative truth. When someone is doing something that hurts some other people or hurts on the other side the environment, the agriculture, the forestry, the soil, the water, etc., then it's not clever. Then we make a giant failure, and we have to stop to make this failure. And they are really giant. And logic, I have seen this in the mountains earlier. And I've seen this on my real estates earlier, because for me was everything clear, and I can show later on pictures to you where I've seen 20, 30, 40 years ago what happens, what will happen. Because the problem starts with a small problem, not with a giant. Nature has always some time, and nature don't give the answer immediately. But if you see rather precise, then you see the answer early, what is coming. But the rest that wants to get an income, they don't want to see, or they don't see it. This is not my task. It's a question of the doctor, a question of the law, and of the legal experts to evaluate this, why someone did not want or did not see. But today we are so far that we can evaluate these questions, very precise, daily and global. And then the legal side has to evaluate, was this okay? Was this good? And the interesting thing for me is that with the water and with the wind, we distribute everything on a global scale. It needs time. Time is between. Okay, so that means again for the question of the legislative, a question to think about. So we have courts, they have to be trained in this question. They don't understand this yet. The legal question is not yet here. Do you think we have a global law when we have 193 different legislative things for big countries also, one, but maybe they have 20 or 50 different regions from the nature because they have climate change and one region is cold, one region is hot, etc. And there's growing ABC trees or ABC crops, etc. So this is a complex thing. This we have to do. So that means we also know that beside this, we have had a lot of dedication questions. On the whole question of dedications or on the whole questions of tunnel construction, nobody calculated correct. What is the ecology question if you do dedication? Is this okay? Is it not okay? No, one says, okay, here's a bird, and the other one says 6 months later, no, there's no bird. So it means we can do dedication. So the question is not serious, evaluated. So not only the future problems are not evaluated, also the today. Because if you find an expert and you pay the expert some money, maybe the expert is writing what you like. So this is also tricky. So the expert question, who is the expert for ecological question, is a very tricky question. Is not yet solved, global. And you find experts for everything, and it's not a long-term thing because short-term we survive, long-term not. So the model is rather easy. We have to come to a global balance, and the global balance must be verified by the legislative people on the globe. We need some few legislative models. They have to be done by United Nations or sub-organizations like World Health Organization or FAO or the local agencies of it or UNIDO for the energy. And maybe a few words on the energy sector. We have more than enough energy. I mentioned it already. We don't use it. We have not enough for a giant supplier, but for every house is energy, because every house has a wind, has a sun, it has water that is running down on the house. Everything is energy. So I can build up very quick. If someone wants to know how it works, I had this on my small flat outside since 35 years. And I had served some forest enterprises. They using a production of energy since decades and since 100 years. It's possible. But if you don't cooperate, it's not possible. We have to cooperate on a big manner, but we have to cooperate and can cooperate. And in that moment, when I explain this in detail, the people should fulfill, because then they know that there's another possibility also. So at the end, very important, politics is a must to change. They have to see the environment as a value. The experts have to change, but they are experts on their sector, but they need an integrative thinking. Many sectors, if one cannot do it alone, they have to think together. And one thing, and this is my last recommendation to the financing. I made since 35 years the valuation of land, the valuation of agriculture, forestry. I don't want to speak about humans. Humans is rather easy. Humans, I would say, or I would recommend the doctors, less people in hospitals maybe are more healthy. So this I was asking 30 years to do, but they said, no, it's not possible. But we can do it, it's no problem. But on the environment, it's rather simple. An environment that gets a certificate that the environment is healthy, sustainable, managed, and all okay, the value of the environment, if it is agriculture, forestry, or whatever, will increase. No doubt. Measurable increase, because we can evaluate it. Very precise. So why don't we do this? On the other side, the whole land that was used not sustainable, and this is in some countries, I don't want to mention any countries, but some countries did it, the value will go down. Because if you have less worms in a soil, it will not be sustainable. If we destroyed humus that has been developed 3 centimeter on alpine meadows in 15,000 years and you destroyed it, sorry, it's gone. Not in 3 minutes and not in 3 days or in 5 years, no. But in 30, 40 years, you see exactly what's ongoing. In 50 or 100 years, it's gone. And the same will happen here and there on the globe. That means this will, in any case, and this is valuable, documentable, precise, and with some statistics and with some other measurement units, really on 99%. And when a value of something is changing, sorry, then also the financing is different. But when the value is increasing of something, the financing will be easier. And believe me, this was my job since 35, 40 years. I did this, and we know this precise. And someone with me, a few elder colleagues at this time, started the valuation model at the Austrian Civil Engineering Chamber. It is ready, and I could also introduce ecologic values 35 years ago, because people on valuation, these are deep legislative and political questions, what is an ecological value? Sorry, a soil is producing not only logs of trees, or is producing kilogram or tons of potatoes or any other crop on the globe. No. They are producing oxygen, they are producing water, they are producing fun for the people, recreation for the people, health for the people, and a lot of other animals, and the group of integrative models. And my last sample here is, when you are under a tree and it starts raining, you don't get wet. Why? Doesn't it rain over there on top of the tree? Yes, it rains. But the trees and every plant, including trees, they buffer 30, 40, 50, 60% of the rain. And this rain goes then back. And when the rain is back, the liquidity of the air is increasing. Biodiversity is different. And when there's more water coming down, and on the low end you have asphalt, or you have concrete on top, or you have with heavy tractors buffered the soils, sorry, then less will be buffered in the soil. The soil is losing humidity, and more water is running down. You have floods. That's physics in a global scale. And this we have, and we have to be very carefully, because the globe tells us day by day what is ongoing, what did we do in the last 160 years. We did more or less burn too much coal, too much other elements, and did not recognize that the nature needs to have a sustainable model, and we cannot use, as we believe, to make on one side assets and don't calculate the damages or the less assets on the other side. Because when I have 1 billion income and the damage is 2 billion, sorry, the result is minus 1 billion. Okay, this for the experts of the banks, etc. And if someone wants to discuss with me, he can discuss this. This I did since 40 years. The rules are ready, and the rules can be more or less trained everybody on a global scale, because this we can only support on a global scale. Thanks very much for your attention, and we will start to set up training sessions in different regions on the globe, have some experts, also many from universities. They will support us on trainings, because we cannot do it alone in different regions, in different countries. And if someone wants to be partnering with this on the clubs, or on the training club, Club of Ossiach, or SDCC, or Intex Club, we need these partners, because only in a very big cooperative manner we will be able to manage this topic, and it is of high importance to do it rather quick on the entire globe. Thank you very much.